You ready?
Right, we were live.
Wait a minute. Does that mean Cody's giving?
Order and roll call, please.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Mr. Green?
Here.
Mr. Wilson?
Here.
Ms. Laster? Mr. Galloway?
All right, with those being present, item 3 is the acceptance of the minutes. Any questions, comments, deletions, additions to the minutes that was sent out? None? All right, thank you. Thank you all. Item 4, I'll get right to it. Retail strategies discussion with Alex Edwards. Alex, how are you?
Hi,
You doing? Hi.
doing well. Well, hey everybody, I'm Alex Edwards. I have recently taken over as your portfolio director at Retail Strategies, taking the spot of Jeff Summer, who I'm sure you guys met in the past. Drew remains on the team as our retail recruiter for you guys, so we are so excited to be working with you. And tonight, we just want to talk about what we've been doing so far in the city of Jacksonville. I know that we are up for a contract renewal very soon for hopefully another year of working with you guys. We've really enjoyed this partnership thus far, and I've gotten a lot of updates from Drew on how things have been going so far. As you guys know, a lot of what we do is confidential, so we'll be speaking in very general terms about some of the businesses that we are trying to recruit to Jacksonville. If we can move to the next slide, Bert, thank you. So we have a few things that are almost to the goalpost and then some interested brands in Jacksonville. And I can pass that over to Drew to kind of go over some of the things that we currently have in the works on the retail front.
Yes, thank you all for having us up here. We have a lot of brands interested. It's about finding the right site. A lot of the property owners that I talk to, either have a price or they don't, or, they're interested in hearing us out. We've had property under contract before. We've had people come to the brand or the market and tour. I know one of the council's big things is full service restaurants. I'm working on a few. That's a category that just nationally has been slow. A lot of people want to backfill right now just because of construction costs and building costs. And a lot of people, they're not desperate to do a deal and spend a lot of money, but there is good traction on what we're working on. And I am happy to talk to people one-on-one about exactly what brands they are, but just in a public setting. I don't like to share names because we built our relationships through being confidential, and I know y'all understand that as well. And so, we're happy to move forward in the next year, and I'm excited.
Yeah, we can move to the next slide, please. So I'm sorry, this is a little bit hard to read once we get some of the different elements of the slide going here. And Bert, you are welcome to click through some of the elements here going across the timeline. But we really wanted to focus tonight on talking about the retail recruitment timeline. I know that you guys possibly had some questions about how we recruit retail. And I'm sorry, I think this might be the PDF version, so it might not be loading the way that we wanted it to. But basically, we go through a whole process that Drew can speak to a little further about recruiting retail that sometimes can take up to 3 years to actually get somebody in the door and the deal closed. It's all about profit for these retailers, and so we are trying to work with them on the best sites to have the best outcome for them and for the city.
And it all starts with investors. These investors go and tell Wall Street, hey, especially with the public companies, hey, we got to do 100 stores this year. Wall Street, tells their real estate director of X company. The real estate director gets their local tenant rep brokers, or they'll have someone covering their whole regional area, which will be a real estate manager. They then have target markets. Those real estate managers then get the tenant reps to go tour places like Jacksonville, find the sites that we insert ourselves in and know who those brokers are that represent A, B, and C brand. We find them property. We work directly hand in hand with the tenant reps. And then, that right there could be a year. And then you have a site that goes to committee. Sometimes committee, when I was at Books A Million, we would look at a site for probably, 6 months was one of the longest ones just for it not to happen. And then we go find another one. There's probably 10 that we looked at. And then they find a site, they put that broker puts it under contract working with that brand. Then you have a developer that they hire. It could be their preferred developer. Some people have it in-house. Some people have a third party that they work with. And, you're getting a surveyor, you're doing your due diligence, you have geotech, and I'm sure we're all familiar with how long that could take, but then, finally they start building, and then you hope to have a grand opening, and that whole process can be up to 3 years. And that's why we never guarantee a win in year 1 or 2.
But you're saying year 1 or 2, are we gonna know within the first year or 2 that it's gonna be a hard sell, or that they're gonna play their committees, their games, and it's gonna be out for 3 years?
It's case by case, to be honest with you. Some people, and we tell Bert all the people we're talking with and what stage and what capacity we're talking to them about. We have a bunch of pokers in the fire right now, and we are getting close, but it can take up to 3 years. I wouldn't necessarily say they're playing games. There are people out there that just take longer, and it's with their process and their construction timelines. And I will say the market, it hadn't been easy with interest rates and people getting their loans, and I got close to something in another market, and it just ended up dying because of the interest rates and what happened during COVID, and it's still affecting it.
Well, what's the building cost doing it to them now?
It's
Is it
just
getting
something-
better and they're gonna get freer with it, or they're gonna sit back and?
I've seen numbers come down, but recently the numbers were up triple per square foot what it was to build something versus pre-pandemic.
Can you talk about maybe your experience at Books A Million from that perspective, and even now with retail strategies? What are the metrics that some of these retail groups are looking for? I mean, obviously this is, the city of Jacksonville is growing population-wise, but you've got a mix of small business, a mix of international brands here now and national brands. What are the things that are of interest to groups when they're coming in, or are interested or looking at places to
Right.
locate?
Everyone has their site criteria and what they require out of a site. And obviously, a home run site is at a light, has full access, visibility. Everyone needs over an acre, and this is with freestanding. In line, you're gonna have visibility. These brands want their customer to physically see it. They wanna see a sign that says turn left and then go behind this and that. So there's multiple checkpoints, and co-tenancy is a big thing. TJX wants to be by a similar customer. That's what we call co-tenancy, and those consumers will shop in multiple stores, so they thrive together, and they want to be around other brands that have the same customer. Parking's big, is because when I was at Books A Million, there's a kid customer, there's an older customer, and then there's a middle in between all that. And you don't want an older customer having to walk far, and so parking's a big requirement for them. Signage, are they going to have their signage on a pylon sign, or is it going to just be a storefront signage? There's multiple things and access, again, is probably access and visibility. Retailers grade sites off how many points or how many times do I have to turn for that person to get to a parking spot. And so that could be an A site, one turn in, and then all the way to a C site. And these retailers, especially for ground up construction right now, these retailers have been paying the same rent since the 80s, and everything's gone up in cost. And so it's really hard for developers to do something ground up completely on their own. Mm-hmm. It is. Does that answer your question?
No, it absolutely does, because those are the things, if there's anything that the city can do from a standpoint of trying to make sites available for whoever wants to be in.
Absolutely. Sites can be expensive, and that will kill a developer's pro forma in a heartbeat. A lot of developers I know and work with will ask the city if they can help, and Amendment 772 in Alabama is a great tool. I work in other states that don't have that, so we're very lucky and fortunate to have that in Alabama. It's huge.
Yeah, what other questions can we answer for you guys?
You're looking for, what about the amount of property that we have accessible to people to come in? Are we on the low end, medium end, or the high end as far as what people are looking for?
There's good sites available in Jacksonville. I will say one thing that I've called a lot of property owners going up and down Pelham. One of the tough things for me is the parcel size are less than half an acre or right at that, and a lot of people need an acre. I've talked to great people here that it's just not big enough, and so then you have to assemble, but then the neighbor won't sell. There's always hurdles, and that's every market. There's always going to be hurdles. but it's our job working Jacksonville all day, every day. I spend a lot of time during my day working in Jacksonville because it does have, it's a good growth rate. People want to be here. It's finding the right properties. And so I talked to a broker the other day that was like, Drew, tell me about Jacksonville. I said, where do you want to start? And I usually like to start at Waffle House and go down to Walmart. And then in between there, we will end up finding something that works. And that's why a lot of brands are decreasing their indoor dining. They don't need big dining rooms anymore. Over 60% of their business is through a drive-through. I've seen people like Panera Bread, for instance, that used to be either in line or doing end cap, and now they like to do freestanding with drive-throughs. Just what COVID did for a lot of these brands. I think a cool story I saw, Applebee's had already established the to-go door, if you've ever been to an Applebee's, and that was one of the reasons they did well during COVID, because they already had the to-go model branded and recognized. And then, you know, curbside delivery and pickup became huge, and then the mobile apps became huge. A lot of people, we were listening to a panel the other day at a trade show we went to in Charlotte, and a lot of people are talking about the real estate on your phone now, because every business has an app, or Chick-fil-A's app, you know, and so people are going to start running out of space on their phone that I thought no one was talking about, which is very interesting. And that's another part of our job, is staying on top of the trends, knowing who's growing, where they're growing, who has active franchisees. I have a lot of people that would love to be in Jacksonville, but they don't have someone active. And so I always tell Bert, hey, if y'all know somebody that, sometimes it's someone that's retiring, sometimes it's just someone with, you know, capital in the bank, and there's always a brand that needs this and that, and they're looking for franchisees all the time, and that will make something where it's like, Drew, I mean, just not now, I don't have anybody for you, and then I bring someone to the table and it becomes a reality, and then you take that conversation to the next level. And so my day-to-day is a lot of times hearing no, and then one of my goals, and we've proven with results, is turn that no into a yes. And it's a constant battle, and we're always swimming upstream, but when you have a good market like Jacksonville, it makes it a whole lot easier for me. And then the property that's available, that, you know, you drive down Pelham or up Pelham and you can see signs left and right. But people still want to be, every site has a hurdle. There's not a piece of real estate that's exactly like the same as the other one. And so retail wants to be by retail. And I always ask Bert, any new rooftops that you got coming in, let me know. That's a big driver for people. And then just the other retail in the market builds off itself. And you'll start seeing bigger brands come in off the Bojangles and the AutoZones and things like that.
Anything else?
And if there's ever a brand that you hear local chatter or someone, you know, I would love to hear the feedback from this full service restaurant, or hey, this is a cool smoothie place I saw that was growing, you know, in the newspaper. That's something I can reach out and get quick feedback. I'm constantly calling people and asking where they're growing, where they're active, and then hopefully it overlaps with Jacksonville being one of those markets.
All right.
Is this something we're deciding tonight, or are we discussing?
No, this is just to see if we
This is
wanted to
just
add
for
the
them.
one more year to the contract. We're about to begin our third year into this contract.
So that's when, April or May, or?
It's April, I wanna say it's the 18th of April.
I believe so.
I believe so. Yes,
We'll
ma'am.
probably need to vote on it next meeting.
Next time. I think that'd be good.
Okay. Anything else for these folks? Thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for what you've already done for us, so we appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having us. It's nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks, Alex.
All right, item 5 is the Civil Service Board discussion. Mayor, you want to lead that, or?
Yeah, I can start that off. There, agenda item on the agenda tonight for the council to consider dissolving the Civil Service Act that was created by the state legislature many, many years ago. This has been discussed for a couple of years now. It's finally come to a head. The main driving thing behind this is the length of time it takes us to get someone employed with our current system. So we felt like maybe we can streamline that and make that a little easier for us, particularly in some of these critical areas where we have difficulty getting people. And Laura's a good example of that now. Needing somebody today, and it may be 2 months before we find somebody, get somebody on board. That it's a process to do this. It was organized by the state legislature, so it had to be dissolved by the state legislature. So what will be happening tonight, y'all just be voting for the decision where to ask the local delegation to enter this bill into the legislature. They do need a unanimous vote on this thing. If anybody votes against it, then they don't want to carry it forward. But so it's kind of where we are, I guess.
Any questions, comments?
Good.
One thing I'd like to add to that, I know some of our employees will be gonna be concerned because they've always had civil service as their protection, so to speak. If something comes up, they feel something's been unfair to them. And I want to assure them, I don't know exactly what that's gonna look like yet, but the council is looking at ways so that you will still have that same protection. It'll just be a little different setup. I don't know whether it be in terms of personnel board or exactly what that's gonna look like at this point, but something will be in place. So I don't want people to be afraid all of a sudden we're gonna start firing everybody or something because we don't have a civil service board anymore. But we still have the same rules and policies we've always had. I think we'll have Bert's working on some changes, updating some things, and she enjoy working on that together and pretty close on that. So I think we're pretty close to having that something in, but basically rules and regulations not gonna change. I tell you another issue we're having too is get difficult to find people that want to serve on the civil service board anymore. We have one vacancy now that's been vacant for about 3 months now. We've asked a number of people about that, filling that spot, and not gotten anybody to do that. We've got another member that's saying he would like to not, once his term's up, he'd like to not be reappointed, and so it's just several reasons for this coming up, I think, at this point.
And I would just like to say, like, there are many other municipalities around us that are not civil service also, so this isn't something new, really.
Well, as Mayor invited me when he met with the department heads, and as I was trying to explain, I hope the employees of the city of Jacksonville understand that we are pro-employee. This council, I feel like, has been pro-employee since you and I started in 16. I don't think we wouldn't personally do anything that would jeopardize the employees and have concern of losing their jobs. Actually, I think we can make it better than what it is. We can make things easier to operate, more fluid, easier to get things done. And if you're a valued employee, you have nothing to worry about anyway.
Let me also add to that, Pam's here tonight. She's probably affected by this more than anybody because she worked at her for a long time now, worked with the Civil Service Board. But just want to assure her too, she's going to still have a position in the Human Resources Department, pretty much doing the same thing she's been doing. But the other hand, working with Joy with a few changes to her job description maybe. So hopefully she'll be fine with making sure she's still employed. Not lose her job too.
And this is just a vote for us to let the state legislature know that we forward it to them, that we are of one as we send it forward.
Will this get on their legislative schedule for this?
They think they will. I think they're out this week. That gives us a little time, so they thought it would be a good time to do it. Yeah, everybody needs to be aware too. No matter what happens here tonight, we don't know what's going to happen with this. Because state legislature will have to vote on it.
But you have spoken with.
I've spoken to Representative Chad Robinson. I have not spoken with Keith Kelly, but those two have been communicating. Chad said he has talked to Keith, and Keith's willing to introduce it in the Senate, and then Chad's willing to introduce it in the House. And they said they would prefer to talk to the rest of the delegation themselves. So we find out who's on board and who's not. So I have not personally talked to the rest of the delegation.
We good moving forward with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Item 6 is the FY 2022 General Fund Audit. Sean Nicker. How are you, ma'am?
I'm all right, sir. Mr. Edgar had another appointment, so he sent me up here instead. If you'll turn turn to page 1, which is several pages in the manual, special analysis is first. But the actual page 1 is the independent auditor's report. About 20 pages in.
Page 21 then.
The second paragraph on the independent auditor's report, this is our opinion. In our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly, in all material respects, the respective financial position of governmental activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of the city of Jacksonville, Alabama, as of before the year ended September 30, 2022, and the respective changes of financial position and, where applicable, cash flows thereof for the year that ended in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. That means this is an unqualified report, which in auditor speak means this was a clean report. Then if you'll flip over to page 5, this is your statement of net position, which is a governmental form of a balance sheet. You'll see that cash at September 30 was $15,622,390, with investments of $8,518,531. Your total assets for the year are $49,313,828. The new thing this year was the implementation of GASB 87, which converted basically all of your operating grants to be treated pretty much like capital grants, leases. Operating leases become capital leases. That's why you have a lease receivable on the books now. That is for the rental of that little building down on the square. You also have down in the liabilities, you have an operating lease payable, which is the payables on the copiers for the police department. Deferred outflows of resources. You have deferred outflows of pensions, which is related to RSA. You also have deferred outflows of leases, which is the exact opposite of the operating lease liability. What they did when they implemented 87 is it doesn't affect your bottom line. You have an asset and a liability that offset each other exactly every year. This just shows your commitment to make these payments in the future. You go down to your liabilities. Total liabilities for the city is $37,187,423. That includes your bonds and warrants payables, the accounts payables due to other governments, and various other smaller liabilities. The new capital lease listed on here is the capital lease related to the new City Hall building. Any questions?
No.
You go to the next page, this is your statement of activities. You have total expenses for the city of $19,093,853, with fees, fines, and charges for services of $2,869,911, operating grants of $1.4 million, and then if your various general revenues, you had $15 million, so you have ending with a net position change of $904,931, which is your gain from that. The prior period adjustment listed on here is related to putting on GASB 87 and implementing that. You flip on to the back, page 60, you'll see the independent auditor's report on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance with other matters based on the audit of financial statements performed in accordance with governmental auditing standards. And this is one of the two reports that we have on compliance. If you look on the second page of that, page 61, as part of the second paragraph down, as part of obtaining reasonable assurance about whether the city of Jacksonville, Alabama's financial statements are free from material misstatement, we perform tests of its compliance with certain provisions of laws, regulations, contracts, and grant agreements, non-compliance with which could have a direct and material effect on the determination of financial statement amounts. However, providing an opinion on compliance with these provisions was not an objective of our audit, and accordingly we do not express an opinion. The results of our test disclose no instances of non-compliance or other matters that are required to be reported under governmental auditing standards. And then our last report that we have is one page over. It's the independent auditor's report on compliance for each major program and on internal control over compliance required by the uniform guidance. This is your report on compliance with your federal dollars. And if you look on the next page, that is page 63, our opinion. In our opinion, the City of Jacksonville, Alabama complied in all material respects with the types of compliance requirements referred to above that could have a direct and material effect on each of its major federal programs for the year ended September 30, 2022. So you have a clean financial report and a clean federal report.
I know that's a lot of work, that paragraph there is usually what,
That's
what we're
what
hoping for.
wants to see.
Yeah, that's what we want to
The
see.
federal government's not gonna come after you. Any questions?
None? None? No.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, item 7, finance manager, treasurer job description. Ms. Grant?
And I actually have the next two,
Yes, ma'am.
but on the first one, you all should have a copy of the job description. And this is Laura's job description, and really very minor changes in it. I think you should see the red highlighted, and basically functions that she no longer performed. Before we had Tim as our IT, Laura office actually handled a lot of the technology and the network and telephones information. Now that we have Tim, we no longer need this position to do that. The other changes are really just pen and ink change, with the exception of, if you look at the qualifications, we did change the qualifications, and before, it's you've gotta have a bachelor degree in accounting, or you can have a related degree, and it read 12 hours of accounting. We wanted to change that to 17 hours of accounting, because if you get someone with, say, a business law degree, perhaps it doesn't have accounting, at least if we put the 17 hours, it gives them another level of accounting. So that's really the only change that we wanted to make on this job description before we go forward with the recruit action on it. Any questions on any of it at all?
Well, I kind of a question, Lauren may know this, but thinking about the 17, most of those courses are 3-hour courses.
Mhm.
So of course, why do we do the 17 rather than doing a 15?
Right.
There is actually one course in the discipline of accounting that is a 2-hour course. That brings it to the minor of 17 hours.
Thank you.
It's a lab, I can't remember what the course is, but I don't know why, but it's there.
Any other questions on it?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So the next one that I have is the contract that we do need to do with her. It's been 2 weeks of a notification that she's leaving, and Laura does do a lot of unique things in the office that no one else does. And between all of what she has to do with making sure her team is ready, clearing out an office after 15 years, and she's got some other personal things that she had to do. We just haven't had enough time to begin that transition. So what we're asking in a contract with her is just over the next 12 months, even when we get the new person in, that for her to be able to come back and assist us, we need assistance. And that's what this contract is for, and we're putting 200 hours. It probably won't take nearly that amount, but we just want to make sure that we've got it covered, that she would be able to come back. I know for me and her, it will be weekends and evenings, but when the new person come on board, then we'll have to work out a schedule too, that she would be able to help them as well.
Does that mean covering city council meetings? telling us what we can do still.
I'll be
Where's the
able to
money's
do that.
coming
That
from?
part of it, I will have done before she leaves, we'll be good with that.
That's the question that gets asked. Where's the money
Where's the
coming
money coming
from?
from? Can we handle
I will be
yourself
able
on
to tell you where it will come from.
Pretty sure y'all have my cell phone.
Yes.
Yes, she
I'm
won't
not
be far
deleting
away. But that's what this contract is, to make sure that we can make that seamless transition, that the city continues to function in the same manner that we are currently.
I think it makes a lot of sense having a longer period of hours than saying for 30 days or 60 days or something like that. I like, because it's gonna be a long learning curve. I
It's
don't
gonna be
care
a
how
learning
qualified
curve.
the person is.
Yeah, it's gonna be a learning curve, and particular for a person that will come in, if they're not already, you know, an employee of Jacksonville, don't understand how the city works, it's gonna take a little while for
Mhm.
that person as well.
I know accounting is accounting, but there's different ways of doing things, and
Yeah.
so I do appreciate your willingness to do this.
Now, I told Bert, just let me get through this weekend. Bert knows that I'm in the process, not only is this job, not only am I moving jobs, I'm moving homes. I have a dance performance this weekend, so it's been a really interesting month for me.
Are you gonna come up Saturday and tell us April Fool's bunch of?
And I don't have time on Saturday. I have dance rehearsal in the morning and a performance at the afternoon.
Yeah. So unless you've got any more questions?
You have any idea how long it'll take for them to get used to working with the mayor? I mean, the learning-
6 minutes.
The learning curve,
About
you
6
know?
minutes.
I think if you ask Laura, we're more of a headache than the mayor is. Mhm.
Go ahead.
Easy peasy.
I don't care.
Anything else for Ms. Burke?
I'm good.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right.
All right, item 9 is Jack's Fest.
All right, y'all ready for fireworks?
Yes, ma'am.
Then I need to know which fireworks you want.
I wanna know how much.
10-5 or 9-5?
Either
Nine,
9.5
yeah.
or 10.5. 10.5 is, we'll get basically what we did last year. 9.5 will be a little bit smaller.
Where's the money coming from?
Well, there's a reason we say we want the biggest bang for our buck, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Oh.
And also Jack's, just kind of give everybody a heads up, Jack's Fest will be shifted more this direction this year because the school
that's
cannot
true.
guarantee that the fields will be ready. So it's gonna be here, Public Safety Complex. Fireworks gonna shift a little bit,
But it'll be
This
still
way.
shot from like that
the very
direction.
back part where the
Like the old-
visitor entrance gate
yeah.
is, just a little bit this way.
The end of the runway.
Yeah.
Well, over
Yeah,
this way.
other way, yeah.
Up on the parking area.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the parking
yeah.
area, that way it'll be a little more visible from this end. So it's gonna be interesting, try
We
to have
discussed
still as
it,
much as we've had in the years past,
Mm.
just gonna be different. But the thing tonight is do you want the 9.5 fireworks or the 10.5 fireworks? Cause we got both ready to go.
And 9.5 is what is in the budget. That's what was budgeted, was 9.5.
I thought we budgeted the same amount.
To answer your question, Terry, there is enough in regular general fund
So,
to actually do the additional
okay.
without doing more.
Easy for her to say, she's leaving.
I can afford to be generous.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the easiest I said.
That
you
audit
give money
report
out where the
came
money's
in.
coming from.
It's,
$1,000.
yeah, well, it's whatever, I can't really say. Whatever you think.
But we spent 10-5 last year, or we spent 9-5 last
I
year.
think it was around 9.5, but everything.
Okay, so
Mhm.
that's the adjustment, I got you.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I asked for the same, what we had last year, and they gave me a price for what we paid last year, and then they gave me the
Okay.
price for what we had last year.
Well, what more are we getting for $1,000?
2 minutes.
Well,
I
2
mean-
minutes
Larger
just stretches
shells.
out to,
Yeah.
they say it's either like a 5 to 6 or a 6 to 8
6 to
minute,
8.
but
Yeah.
Is what-
usually that's if it's
If it's clicking.
boom, 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 yeah, but they kind of stretch it out for me. I go and ask them, please stretch it out, and
Gunpowder ain't cheap.
Yeah.
it's not.
You're a little less than $1,000 a minute. Anyway.
Y'all give me when I'm thinking, I'd say 9.5 and go with it. 'Cause
I'm okay
did
with-
anybody complain about last year's boom? then.
No, and I'm interested to see how this works out by moving it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if the school will ever let us get back on the football field with everything
No,
they're
that's
doing.
right.
They seem
No.
to be, you know, willing.
I mean, I would hope they would, but now, you know, bringing it here,
That's the good thing, you can do whatever you want.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, you don't,
They just
I don't need any
couldn't-
help
they
thinking of that,
couldn't
okay?
guarantee. I think their date, the last date they got was August first, so they were like, you can't guarantee that.
Hmm.
Well, I'd rather, with the move and everything, I'd really go 9-5, and then the next time, if everything settles in, then we could go more. But to me, if there were no complaints, everybody was pleased, and a lot of oohs and ahs and whatever, I'd
It'd be
say
like
9-5.
4 minutes less than
Yeah,
us.
I mean,
Maybe they won't notice.
they can go to Redbird Coffee Shop and get coffee after the fireworks.
Keep in mind now, you're not talking about the same show for
Yeah.
$9,500.
Right.
It's
The same
price,
show from
but-
last year
but
is
a
now
different
10.5.
value, Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 10-5?
The
It's
same
10.
show we
Same
had
I
last
like to
year.
experiment, let's go 9-5.
Okay. It'll be a little smaller, a little shorter.
Oh, that's $1,000, and I know that in the scheme of things, but that's something else we could lose, like a frisbee golf thing or something.
Or we can just shoot them up fireworks.
Could we
I
just
think we're going with the
change it
9.5.
into $5 bills? and-
I'm 9-5, I'm sorry, y'all can, I'll change my mind if y'all want me
We
to.
have
They're both ready to go.
contract, they're both ready.
Okay, let's go 9-5 and see what happens.
Both contracts ready, we might just do them both, have them together.
Have a bag.
Options.
Mayor's buying the other
What
10
does, what
minutes.
does Retail Strategies want to add to the pot?
Yeah.
Hey, we'll give them a tent to put up out there.
I believe we're going with the 9.5,
Okay,
if I'm understanding this correctly.
it's fine with me.
Oh,
We'll get that. I just know they're waiting on a signed contract, so
All right.
$100 down at
everything else has been approved.
Crazy Cans and get a lot.
Yeah, but you
No,
can.
9.5 gets a lot more.
For shooting them off by yourself without
Oh, yeah, no.
people to do that.
Yeah. That's the fire chief.
Yeah.
Cringes.
Yeah, you know, I'm not shooting them off.
Hmm.
I'm not doing it, but.
Does that price include the permitting and all?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much a turnkey.
Okay.
With this company, we've had to do, I mean,
Yeah.
I bring a paper and let chief sign off on it, and usually in the years past, we've had to get a letter of permission from the school but this year we don't even have to do that since it's on our property.
Hmm.
So, yeah, it's one thing I like about this company, they're really, they're great to work with.
Pat, still there?
I've not dealt with her this time. I think she's kind of passing on those reins to
Go for it.
some others, so.
Well, and as a festive event as it can be, you definitely want professionals handling it. You don't want,
Yeah,
so that's,
most
so,
definitely.
so, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, does that include us a built-in day for if we not able to shoot them that day?
We don't have a date yet, but, by
We will be
contract,
able to do it
they
some-
wouldn't be
at
able
some
to do it
point.
on the fourth just because of the,
Mhm.
they have to contract so many shooters that can do that. But we can look to do it in like fall or New Year's Eve or sometime like that. But it's gonna be pretty. You're in charge of the weather,
I am.
so it's gonna be good.
And that date was already set, July 3rd?
Yeah, we had talked about that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what I was
A little
thinking, we
bit
talked
back.
about that.
Anything?
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
All right, next item is the back-to-school sales tax holiday, July 21st through 23rd.
You know,
Yes,
we've
sir.
typically done this, I just kind of assumed want to do it again, I thought we'd put it on here, make sure everybody.
I think so.
Comment about that. I think we'd do it.
Good deal.
It's not on there for tonight, but we'll put it on next time.
And our retailers, and I mean, I think maybe I saw something that Ben had put out before. Was something put out about back to school holiday, or was that, or the severe weather, that was the one I'm remembering, the severe weather, yeah. I think that's one of those good things that puts out there.
All right. All right, any other business?
Yeah, a couple of things I wanted to mention, call your attention to that you probably already looked at, just to make sure you're aware. Home Consortium,
Yeah.
contract on there, hope everybody's looked at that. The thing I wanted to remind you of, we are obligated to 25% max to any money we get. The problem is, we don't know what we're getting yet, so it's hard to know what that match might be. You know, we've done this for several years, and we've never had to pay a match, and they're telling me they're fairly certain that'll be the case again, because you can do all the in-kind stuff, and we have a lot of, you know, a lot of hours gone for Habitat houses, and, you know, they have to do the work, you know, the homeowner, you know, they'll have to do a lot of work. We can use that for match. So kind of looks like we probably won't have to match this. We'll make you aware that is a possibility out there. Just don't have any idea what to tell you it is. But I think it'll be zero, but just be aware in case I come back to it. I was just kidding. That's 250,000, but whatever. The other thing I want to call your attention to, and I hope you've looked at, it's on the agenda tonight, is about the well pump. And that is just a pump to get the water from the well to the pond. It is not including any tying into the irrigation system. So you're looking at that $46,000, but it's almost $47,000. It's just to do that work. And that's including electrical, the piping, the pump, and the installation of the pump and all that stuff.
So that actually gets water running to the pond.
Running to the pond.
That's what I thought.
So that's on your agenda. I guess that's all I had.
Oh, well, go back.
Too late.
Okay, I'll get you next meeting. All right, that's just gonna get the water to the pump. Have we started figuring out how much it's gonna cost to get it to the lake?
No, that's
No,
to
that
get
that
it-
does, that
That's to
gets
the
to the lake.
lake.
Yes, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
I
that's
think
what
the
I,
I'm
pond
sorry, I
also.
said pond. You probably thought
Yeah.
I said pump, but it's
Yeah.
get it to the
Pond.
lake.
So it's a
Outside lake.
full,
Andy's kinda
you're not
hard
listening to me
hear.
either. I just asked that.
Huh?
I just said that.
Andy's kinda hard of hearing, and you gotta talk a little bit louder sometimes.
that's this here.
I know it. Yeah. Ebenezer?
Okay, so that, we, obviously, that way we can get the sprinkler going too in the middle of the pond.
I think Patty has a question.
Ms. Miller's here to talk to y'all about farmer's market.
Okay, great.
She has some questions.
Okay, is there anything else? Let me ask one thing. Janice, do you mind going over the changes or what, this upcoming Sunday will be, since there's been some slight changes?
You know, at 2:30, we will just have a celebration up on the square for the high school basketball team that is back-to-back state champions. We also have the 4A Coach of the Year and the 4A Player of the Year with that. But we're just gonna have like a little grand entrance for the team, then have some recognition, have fun, also do the fan day like we did last year, where the players will be able to sign autographs on the posters that the school system has had made. No parade, we're just gonna have a big celebration starting at 2:30.
So will they arrive, will all already be on the square and they'll arrive on a bus or something and then?
Everybody will be on the square and they will have a grand entrance. I'm not gonna
Okay.
give anything else away. You gotta be there to see it.
All right.
Don't wanna give everything away,
All right.
but it's gonna be fun. And in case of inclement weather, but it's not, I'm putting the mayor in charge of the weather again.
Parachute.
It would be at the high school in their gymnasium.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Come here.
Good evening. Just wanted to make sure that we are all on the same page regarding the issue of the liability insurance for the farmer's market. I spoke with Jamie after you talked with him. I've talked to him, I don't know, several times. When I found out that I was responsible for acquiring quotes for a liability policy for the market, I immediately started calling, and I called Alpha, who referred me to another agency. And I spoke with someone there, and then Mr. Mayor, I think you spoke with Jamie Cusper as well, different Alpha agent. And to date, none of their underwriters at either agency has been able to provide them with a quote. Don't really know why that's the case, but I just got off the phone with him before I came into this work session, and we have not been able to.
He was really hoping it was gonna be here.
Huh?
He was really hoping it was gonna be here by the night, but he's.
I know, I talked to him this afternoon. I think I've talked to him just about every day since I found out I was gonna need to get the quote. He seemed to think that, and this is what I need clarification on, is the market buying this policy and paying the premium, or is the city buying the policy and paying the premium? And that's the central question. His impression was that he could write the policy with the market umbrellaed under the city with me personally listed as the person who is the caretaker of the market. He also suggested, Mr. Attorney, that should probably not be allowed to just exist as a policy, that there needs to be a separate hold harmless for me personally. I'm very uneasy about having my name written on a policy for an entity that I do not own. I don't own the market. I manage the market at y'all's, pleasure. And I've talked with a number of people that have dealt with farmers market liability, and I was universally advised not to allow my name to be put on that policy, and I'm really not comfortable with that. We're talking about $1 million liability with a $2 million aggregate, and I would like to ask if that is the only way that the policy could be written. Can there be something written up that establishes an ironclad wall that absolves me of any liability going forward? And can that be read into the minutes of the city council meeting and signed? I don't know where that leaves us. We open on Saturday.
Right.
Yeah.
And he feels reasonably sure, I think Mr. Galloway, he told you the same thing, he thinks he can get something by tomorrow. But, he's told me that every day.
It's through a third party, it's not through Alpha.
Right, it's
And
not,
that's the
it's
problem.
a
He said if it
third
was
party
Alpha,
underwriter.
he could've-
Right.
He could have
And
had
the
the numbers.
Parnell Insurance Agency
Mhm.
also had contacted several underwriters. It's just a sort of an unclear, nebulous kind of thing. And you had said that independent contractors acquire insurance all the time. Is that for things
They
that?
require, they're businesses, so I guess that might be.
I think that's the
difference.
difference.
The thing is from AMIC's standpoint, because she's a contractor, we can't cover her through our city policy. Now, if the city chooses to get a separate policy from another insurance company for the farmer's market to cover us for liability, then I guess we could do that. I could call Kara tomorrow and ask her the difference between the liability on the farmer's market that is a city market
Mm-hmm.
and put it to her in a different way to see if I can get a different answer. Because in her talking just then and the way she was being explained from the insurance, it came across to me a different way, that the farmer's market is ours. So it should be covered by our thing. We're only paying her to manage it for us.
Right.
And the guy in Montgomery said that most of his people that, the farmers market that fall under municipalities are usually covered through their, their insurance, but they do have it have it written into policy that, you know what I mean, like it's wrote out that it's covered.
So I can call Kara tomorrow and get a little bit more.
Thank you, because I didn't understand why we were having, after all these years, now we're having an issue with this. I mean, it's pretty obvious that it should be covered under the city's umbrella. It is our market, it is gonna be on our
I think so,
property.
But when I did reach out to her the first time, she said that because she's being paid as an independent contractor, she would have to get the liability insurance and then put us down as the person who would get paid if something happened, which is the same thing that we do with all of the other contractors that do stuff
Have a business.
for the city. I have proof of liability insurance folders for days in my office, but, this is a different situation. So when I can call Kara tomorrow just to verify with her. She might come back with the same answer. In that case, then the city may either just have to go and get their own to cover the liability of the farmer's market or go a different route. I don't know.
And depending on, what we're talking about, I don't have a clue. I haven't even been able to get anybody to give me a ballpark about what we're talking about for a policy. And we're not a year-round business. We have a finite season, which also seems to make it somewhat complicated. But, depending on what that quote is, the market might be able to pay for it or partially pay for it or something, but I don't even know what we're talking about. And
I would guess.
the market has never had insurance. It's always been on city property, and it was a lateral move from city property to city property rather than going from private property to city property. So I guess I'm here to say, What do I do now?
Playing devil's advocate, what happens if you don't get any replies? You still gonna do it, or you gonna pull the plug on the first Saturday?
I mean, I don't think that I have the ability to acquire anything on my own.
Well,
I don't own
And,
business.
and you should, in my opinion, you shouldn't. It shouldn't be your responsibility. It shouldn't be your name on any type of documentation, other than, I see you as an employee, part-time employee of the city of Jacksonville, like any other city of Jacksonville employee. They're covered under the umbrella of the city's policy.
That would have been my understanding.
In the
It's-
contract for every farmer's market, I have not found proof of somebody submitting one, but it has been in the contract for every farmer's market contract that I have going back.
But we did have a similar situation where we were trying to get insurance on the PDA.
And also
we
with-
had to fight our way through
And also with the
aiming on
medical-
that.
Is that just
so-
something we think AMIC, we need to clarify with AMIC?
Like I thought I had, but I can call tomorrow again, but we also had the same situation with the fire department's new medical director.
Medical chief?
AMIC wouldn't cover him either, he had to get his own liability insurance, even though he's working under the umbrella of the city. So, you know,
So would that be
you tell-
liability for me personally, or would that be liability for the farmer's market, or both?
And see,
Or
I
neither?
don't understand the details of all that. I just, if it's required, I make sure somebody gives it to me. So I asked the question to AMIC, and I explained that we were hiring you as the manager for our farmer's market. Our contract requires, in the past, has always required the proof of liability insurance. Would that be covered under AMIC? And her response to me was that AMIC does not cover anybody who is not a elected official or city employee of the city. And that they recommend, highly recommend that anyone who the city hires have liability insurance with the city of Jacksonville listed, so that the city of Jacksonville is protected in case something goes wrong. That was her response. Now, I'm gonna call her tomorrow and verify again, but
Richard, any thoughts for how we might, she doesn't have a contract. We have it on the agenda to approve her contract.
Yeah, I don't even have a contract.
Yeah.
But in that contract,
Yeah.
we're supposed to approve tonight, it has that statement in there that she's required to get liability insurance.
on another note, AMIC says they highly recommend it.
Yeah,
They
it's
don't
not a
say it's
requirement.
necessary, so it's the city's choice. They just said they highly recommend it.
I thought we had changed it to say that she had the option of getting insurance if she
We
wanted.
talked about that, that's.
We never did change it. That, to me, that's what we need
That's
to do.
the- that-
We change that
That
and
would make
say,
it optional for me
leave it up
personally
to
to
her, 'cause I
acquire
think
a
Amy's
policy
gonna
covering
protect us.
myself.
I expect so, I don't,
I mean, if anything happens in the farmer's market, city of Jacksonville is gonna be the one that's gonna get sued.
no question.
Well, she may too, but cities certainly, and Amy's gonna, my opinion, Amy's, that's all that is, my opinion. Amy will protect us, but they're not gonna protect her, which is the problem. So I think we need to change and say it's recommended that she obtain liability insurance for herself. If she
Because
chooses
we
not to
don't
do
have
that,
liability
we
insurance
don't-
for her.
We don't have it for her, cause we
Sure.
can't,
Well, what about the market? Is the market just
Well,
gonna be umbrella
the
under
market
the
should be
city's
covered under
liability?
the
Yeah,
city's
it's-
general
it's-
liability.
And now that we've had all this discussion and brought it to AMIC's radar, we'll wanna go back and make sure. But
I'll be
I
back first thing
expect
tomorrow.
that, yes, it's a city function.
Yeah, I would not view it any
I
different than
expect
anything
there
in
is
Jacksonville
coverage.
Parks and Recreation, it's a function of the city.
Right, right.
And then just like the volunteers who are volunteering coaching, you're not volunteering, I know, but I mean, it's, if something were to happen to those individuals, that's an individual liability, not city.
Carol, you be comfortable with the contract if we change that saying you're
That I have
required to
the
get
option of
liability, that you
acquiring.
have.
I mean,
I
I'd
think
like
we
to know
should
what the
say
rate would be too.
recommended.
I want it.
Sure.
We recommended that you get,
Uh-huh.
leave it up
Yeah,
to you.
and so then, sorry, I feel like I'm being terribly repetitive, I just wanna be very clear. So then the market would not be responsible for acquiring a policy on the market, right?
Correct,
Is that
correct.
what I'm hearing? Okay, so the market is, that is not an issue, the only issue is my acquiring liability for myself,
If you choose.
which
If
I
you choose
might
to do
really
it.
want.
I think, I don't.
You can get a decent rate, but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
You might
Yeah.
check with your homeowners.
It might be a
I was gonna say,
rider
what
that
about
you
your
could put with it.
homeowners? I'd check with them.
But Jamie is supposed to get something back
Well, he hopes tomorrow.
Okay.
He said he was
But he
he was
also
gonna
thought it
try
would be
tomorrow
today.
morning to
Yeah.
find out, but what he's looking at getting a quote on is a policy for the market,
Oh.
not for me.
Yeah,
I,
that's what I was thinking. We need to.
I think the market's
Change.
covered.
Yeah.
I mean, it has been.
Can we just check that with Amy to make sure, I mean, it is a city function.
And when you check, make sure they send you something in writing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Jamie
Jamie
Okay,
Go by what they say.
so.
Is that
my
as clear as mud
contract-
now?
Pardon?
Is that as clear as mud now, as we say here in the south?
It's clearer than it was a half an hour ago, for which I'm grateful, thank you. So my contract will be amended before the vote tonight.
So that's what we'll amend the contract.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Appreciate it very much.
Right. So you will not be, I mean, we are liable for farmer's market.
Yes,
That's
you're
what we're gonna
liable for
change.
farmer's market. I am
You have the
potentially liable for
option.
myself,
You have
and
the
I
option too.
of acquiring a policy. Okay, thank you very much.
That can be
Appreciate it.
written?
Patty, you got that?
Can it not just be removed?
Yeah, just,
Because why would we recommend her getting,
I'm okay with being removed.
Just strike it.
Council's okay with that.
Just,
I'm not gonna
Right.
get a
so we
vote,
can
so.
just kind of mark through it, you can sign off on that part, and we can adopt it,
as
that
amended,
amendment?
yes.
mhm.
I'm looking at that.
Any other business?
Yeah, just line through it and then sign it.
We good? Any other business? All right, well, we'll end this meeting.
I do have one item, please. Hopefully it won't take very long, but one other thing I wanted to kind of chat with you all on tonight. This is in reference to our downtown square. And we have begun some processes in terms of just beautifying our square. Had an opportunity at the last Merchants Association meeting to just go and listen to some of the things that they mentioned, some of which were really quick win kinds of things that we went ahead and have begun taking care of. We do have a line in our budget this year for, I want to say the streetscape to the tune of about $10,000. Where we want to start at from that meeting is with getting flowers out on the square. So we made contact, this company K&A, it's a lawn care company. It's actually on Alexandria, Jacksonville Highway. It's in the county, but the owners of this company actually live here in the city. In fact, kids are in our school. In fact, one of the sons is on the
Basketball team.
championship basketball team, yes. So we talked with her, so what you have in front of you is a proposal from her. What we're recommending, and I've talked with Janice, has been part of this, and we've even, Laura serves really kind of as the chairperson of the Merchants Association. She'll probably tell you by default, but she is. So we've kind of gotten together and looked at this. What we're recommending is if the city will, and this is the one-time cost, there are 10 light posts on the outside of the square, 5 on one side, 5 on the other. We would like to add a hanging basket on each of the light posts, and on the second page is kind of a picture. It's not what she is proposing, but it's just to give you a visual of what we're talking about. So a hanging basket on each of those light posts, that's 10 22-inch baskets. And then at the bottom of the light post, we do want to do item C, which is a planter that will be on the bottom of the light post. So she will come in and put flowers in those planters. A combination of the two is right at the funding that we have. A and C together is $9,978. But we don't just want to put them there and then, we go out and we see dead plants out there or plants that are not attractive. So she also gave us option, change out, if we wanted to change those plants out twice a year, in April and in October. It's $900 per change out. That's all 20 of those plants. And mind you, the plants are just not plants. I mean, they're gonna come with a pot with a reservoir in it. So it's a pot, and the second part of this is the maintenance part, that if we will allow her to come in and do it, and Janice would tell you, she's got guys that can mow the grass and do all of that. but they don't know horticulture. So in order to keep the plants and keep the square looking really well, we like to do the maintenance. Now, she was very negotiable with us where the maintenance is concerned. Although you see the price there, $175 to $385, she was willing to go to $150 for us, and she's willing to work with us to get this done. So for this year, we're talking just the initial one-time cost, $9,900. And then the only portion of this, we don't need the change out because the next change out will happen in October. So it'll be time for us to get it in the budget if you approve it. The other part is the maintenance part. And if we did the maintenance, even say 22 weeks between now and September, it's like $3,300. So the additional cost this year would be $3,300. I would tell you, I'm not asking you for more money to do it. You all actually funded a project this year for the library, and I've talked with her. It came in much cheaper than what we budgeted. So if you would approve it, it's no new money. We can use it to do the maintenance. But I wanted you all to take a look at it because the square is really coming alive. It's so much prettier out there now. If you pay attention, you'll see new lights that are on the square that Janet was able to make that happen. So there are things that are happening out there, and we really want to keep it going while we have the momentum to do it. So that's what I'm recommending tonight, if you're willing to approve it.
How fast do they start?
I think April, they will get this done by the end of April, so right at the very beginning of spring and May, when we start having events out there, you will see beautiful plants out on the square.
There's no more, I mean, it's money we got that we've already budgeted. What different, I mean, it's gonna help the square.
Exactly, it's a great
Worth a try.
opportunity.
I mean, anything
It's
we
already
can
been
do.
allocated, just appropriate.
And I would tell you, we're gonna work on item D because we thought, we put rocks in those four corners, but we're gonna go after hopefully some grant monies and other monies that we can perhaps get to help us along the way with item D at some point in the future. So any
Or
questions
is that
at
in the,
all?
is that agenda or that we can just do it
It's not
because
on
the
the
money's
agenda.
already there?
You could amend the agenda if you want to add it. It's
Well,
not
let's
on
want to amend it, let's get it going and.
If they can get started in
Add the
April,
color.
we need to go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Because next week's April.
I don't have anything on this, I don't have the contract.
We don't have a
It's over
contract.
the mayor's $7,500. It's Katie.
Janice, when I asked you about the banners, I forget what you told me, but the banners that are missing from the square.
I have no idea what
Kind of
color.
a conflict.
The what? I do have one in my office that,
Do you know where we purchased those from and how much they cost?
I do not.
It's time to get some new ones anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That Latin.
You know, they used to alternate, used to be
Yeah, this
city
be
and
University and city and us.
Yeah, I was not in on that planning.
It's just called K.
When that first started, yes, you
Grant and I actually got
there, we found out.
Yeah.
I've actually got some quotes for those.
Okay.
They're not expensive. I know that Ms. Grant has some ideas on that, but I had actually spoken with Freestyle in Oxford, and they're about $89 a piece.
Okay. You do have the same, is it be the same logo? I can't, you say you do have one of the,
There's one in my office that was apparently ripped off by wind or something that made its way back to my office. I do have one, but yeah. It's,
Pretty good windstorm.
Yeah, it's magic carpet, I guess. You wouldn't want to put it back up.
no, but we could use that as a model if we
Yes.
wanted to reproduce it.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. That's great. It's great to end it on a lot of good news tonight. So thank you all. So if there is nothing else, we'll recess for about 6 minutes, then come back and start a council meeting. Thank you all.
R and C, and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Very well said.
Lord, we offer our prayers to you. We pray for your watch care over us, for the leadership of the city, and for our city, and for the well-being of us all. Lord, many items on the agenda tonight, so I pray that all of them will go well. They're all important, so I pray that wisdom will be applied in every circumstance. We thank you for all your blessings. We pray in your holy name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Right, roll call, please.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Mr. Green?
Here.
Mr. Wilson?
Here.
Ms. Laster? Mr. Galloway?
Here. All right, adoption of the minutes. Motion. A motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 6 is adoption of the agenda. I think we do have some changes.
Yes, we do. To the main agenda, delete item 11. Consider action to enter into an executive session under the Code of Alabama, Section 36-25A-7A1 to discuss the job performance of certain public employees, and Section 36-25A-7A6 to discuss consideration for the purchase, sale, or lease of real property. Then, to the main agenda, amend item 16, consider action to approve the market manager agreement with Carol Miller for the 2023 Farmers Market per the attached, and that is with the amendment per the attached. And then add item 18A, consider action to authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with KA Lawn Care for public square beautification per the attached.
Do I have a motion to accept the amended? Motion. And a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. We have a couple proclamations. Is anyone here representing Autism Awareness Month? All right, if you would, just come forward, please. I think we got Councilmember Terry Wilson's going to read that proclamation. You down there.
Thank you.
Where are you supposed to walk over?
Autism Awareness Month in honor of the Learning Tree. Whereas the Center of Disease Control estimates that 1 in every 44 children and adults in the United States is affected by autism spectrum disorder. That's ASD, what y'all know about, right? ASD is developmental disability resulting in significant impairment of the individual's ability to communicate, understand social interactions, and develop appropriate interactive behaviors. Whereas systems and characteristics of ASD may present themselves in a variety of combinations and can result in significant lifelong difficulties in behavior, verbal and nonverbal communication, social interactions, and independent living. And whereas ASD affects not only the diagnosed individual, but the entire family and the community at large. And whereas ASD is often accompanied by challenging behaviors that impact the quality of life, the research has shown that more than 40% of children with ASD engage in both aggression and self-behaviors. Whereas, while there is currently no identified cause for cure of ASD, the Learning Tree offers hope for recovery through consultation, residential education, clinical, and preschool services. Now therefore, I, Johnny L. Smith, Mayor of the City of Jacksonville, Alabama, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2023 as Autism Awareness Month.
in the city of Jacksonville and encourage all citizens to become educated about autism and support nonprofit organizations such as the Learning Tree, who help children struggle with this disorder and behavioral challenges that implement the ability to learn and live a quality life. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
You go.
Or you can hand it to her. She can do all. Yeah.
I get my cookie.
You do.
Two of them look really pretty. I'll let you figure out who.
You're a wise guy.
Thank you.
Thank you, bud. Thank you.
Thank you.
The second proclamation we have is there anyone here representing the boys basketball state champions? If not, I guess we can read that Sunday.
Yeah, I suggest.
Yes, that's what we did last year. Thank you. All right, so we'll move on to item 8, is public comments. This is the opportunity for you to come address the council on anything that is currently on the agenda. So if there's any agenda item you'd like to address the council with, please come up to the podium, state your name and address, and then make sure you give it to the city clerk before you leave, so she has her information.
Mr. Green, those are 3 copies for the council. Madam Administrator, my name is Seth Brown. I live at 360 County Road 848, Collinsville, Alabama. Mayor Smith, City Council members, my name is Seth Graham. I am the Union President for the Jacksonville Professional Firefighters Association, Local 3948. I am here today to speak to you about the agenda item to abolish the Civil Service Board. I had hoped this conversation could have happened in a more private setting, but with the hastiness of the council wishing to abolish the board, we had to speak here tonight. The local is not saying we are for or against replacing the Civil Service Board with another type of board. However, we are concerned with what will replace it. The Civil Service Board is not just a board to assemble a list for potential hiring of employees. The board represents the employee and is an avenue for the employee to address grievances and voice their concerns. We recognize there are problems with the Civil Service Board, such as taking an unreasonable amount of time to provide lists to departments to hire employees and the amount of bureaucratic red tape that entails. We also recognize that they do not always represent the employee as well as they should after certain actions from the employee or a supervisor. However, the board members are chosen by the employee and confirmed to the board by a state legislator, keeping a good system of checks and balances in government. If the board is replaced by a personnel board, the new members could be picked by the city council and approved by the city council, creating a system of no checks and no balances, thereby potentially harming the employee when it is no longer an outside and neutral party handling disciplinary actions. The hastiness of this agenda item being added to the council meeting coming to our attention also raises the question of why the rush. The hastiness could indicate nefarious intent, as most of the board's authority has already been gutted. You also require department heads to have their agenda items submitted by Wednesday prior to the council meeting, but as of Friday, this was still not added to the agenda. We understand the state legislature must take action to abolish the Civil Service Board, and that may be the reason for the rush. But they have legislative sessions every year. Mistakes are made when we act too quickly without consideration of the consequences. If we don't make it in time for this legislative session, there is always the next one. We have never had a problem with this mayor or this council, and they have always been good to our locals members and city employees. But you will not always be here. One day you will either be retired from politics or will lose an election. What happens in 35 years when an incompetent mayor is elected and fires an employee without representation? Your actions on this matter don't just affect tomorrow, but will affect generations of city employees. We have also heard there is a problem finding people who want to serve on the Civil Service Board. That problem is nationwide. Few people want to serve their community anymore. What makes the council think they can find people to serve on the board when you can't find people to serve on the current board? We understand the current problems with the board, but are you taking the nuclear option? I want to emphasize that we are not for or against replacing the board.
We just don't know what you want to replace it with. So I ask you tonight to table this motion until city employees can be informed on what you want to replace the board with. I hate to fight it when there could be a better option on the horizon. If it must be replaced, I would like to see a board formed of city employees from all departments, chaired by a non-voting member of this council or a city representative. Again, I emphasize we are not for or against abolishing our board, but before we throw the baby out with the bathwater, we would like to be informed on what our representation will be and what the representation will look like and why the problems with the current board can't be fixed. Until city employees can be informed of a potential replacement board, I am asking you to table this motion until those questions can be answered. Thank you. God bless you.
Sir. Thank you, sir. Make sure, city clerk has your
Oh,
information.
yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that'd like to address the council?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's.
Seeing no one come forward, we'll go on to item number 9.
Public hearing regarding zoning amendment request of JPI Holdings LLC.
Alright, I'll now open it to a public hearing. Anyone like to come up and discuss or have any comments concerning item 9? Seeing no one come forward, we'll close the public hearing. Item 10.
Consideration of ordinance number 0-646-23 that rezones certain property located in the northwest quadrant of the intersection of Nisbet Street Northwest and Burke Avenue Northwest that is known as a one-lot subdivision named Foghorn as recorded in Plat Book KK, page 37, from R3 Multifamily Residential District to B2 General Business District. First reading.
Alright, that's the first reading, so there's no action to take. We deleted 11, so we'll go to item 12.
Consideration of resolution number R-2170-23, requesting the Alabama Legislature to introduce legislation to dissolve Title 45, Chapter 8A, Sections 45-8A-71 through 45-8A-71-.16, related to the civil service system of the city of Jacksonville, Alabama.
So moved. Have a motion, do I have a second? Any discussion?
I will make just a point of discussion. I appreciate the information that was shared by the local firefighters association. And I do understand that there was a meeting held where some of those things that might have been addressed, I was not a part of that meeting to know exactly what that process will look like, but I know I will say I will trust the mayor's process and try to just determine and provide so that all the city employees have equal representation for any of those matters that were brought forward.
Thank you, sir. Well said. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Taylor?
Yep. Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Laster? Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Item 13.
Consideration of resolution number R-2171-23 to enter into an agreement to extend the Anniston-Calhoun County Home Consortium Agreement for the program's years 2024 through 2026.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 14.
Consider action to accept the FY 2022 General Fund Audit as presented by Egger and Associates per the attached.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion, second, any discussion? I would like to thank all those that are involved in the finances of the city of Jacksonville. And like we said, those one small paragraphs in both reports are very important, and thank you all for your hard work, because I know
per the attached.
So moved. Second. Two motions and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 17.
Consider action to approve a new position of Assistant Market Manager for the Jacksonville's Farmers Market and authorize the mayor to sign the 2023 Assistant Market Manager Agreement with Trudy Spear for the 2023 Farmers Market per the attached.
So moved.
Sir. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I'd just like to thank Ms. Miller. The insurance issues, I think hopefully we have that resolved. Looking forward to a great year with Farmers Market. New location, I think this is really gonna do well. And so,
We're
let's,
really excited, and we appreciate all of your assistance in selecting such a lovely place for us to be, and we're looking forward to a great year.
thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 18.
Consider action to authorize the mayor to sign the service agreement with Laura L. Copeland per the attached.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. 18A.
Consider action to authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with KA Lawn Care for public square beautification per the attached.
So moved. Second. Have a motion second, any discussion? Once again, just want to thank all those that are involved in trying to do, the square is a very beautiful thing that sometimes I think has got neglected, and I think we have the energy now to, we want to see it continue in the path it's going in. A lot of good things are happening on the square, so thank you all. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 19.
Consider action to authorize the mayor to sign the pyrotechnical agreement for the 2023 Jack Fest celebration per the attached.
So moved. Second. Have a motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 20.
Consider action to authorize the mayor on behalf of the Waterworks Gas and Sewer Board to sign the sales agreement with Continental Utility Solutions Incorporated for utility billing software and hosting service per the attached.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 21.
Consider action to approve the annual support to the Northeast Alabama Bicycle Association per the attached.
So moved. Second. Have a motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 22.
Consider action to approve the annual support to Highland Health System per the attached.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 23.
Consider action to appoint Council President Tony K. Taylor as a proxy for Alabama Municipal Insurance Corporation Annual Membership Meeting to be held on May 11, 2023 at 11 o'clock a.m.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 24.
Consider action to approve the amended job description of Finance Manager Treasurer, range 23 per the attached, and request the Civil Service Board approval of same.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 25.
Consider action to approve the employment of the following: Matthew Grayley Bramlett, wastewater operator 3, water operator 2 trainee, range 10, effective upon compliance with ordinance number 273, due to Austin Goodwin moving to laborer position.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 26.
Consider action to approve the promotion of the following: Jordan Lathan, Police Corporal, range 20, effective March 29, 2023, due to the resignation of Andrew Roden.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion and a second, any
Consider action to approve the reclassification of the following: Dustin Trammell, part-time firefighter paramedic, range 11A, effective April 1, 2023. Mr. Trammell is currently a full-time firefighter paramedic.
Second. Have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 28.
Consider action to accept the following resignations. A is Caleb Lewis, PAR laborer, effective March 31, 2023. Item B is Andrew Yates, PAR laborer, effective March 24, 2023. And item C is Austin Goodwin, Waterworks WWTP laborer, effective March 31st, 2023. Wastewater treatment plant, I'm sorry.
Second. Have a motion, second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Consent agenda.
Item 29 is budget amendments. Item 30, request to attend conference training session with cost exceeding $1,000.
So moved.
Sorry. Have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 31 is public comments for any general terms. So is there anything you'd like to address the council with? This is time to do so. Come up to the podium, state your name and address, and then make sure you give it to the city clerk before you leave. Anyone like to address the council for any general item? Seeing no one come forward, we'll move on to council member remarks. All right, good. All right, we'll move on to the mayor's report. Mayor?
Just a few announcements. We probably talked about farmers market and up tonight, but just to remind you one more time, it will be occurring here on Saturday out in front of this building. So change the locations, let's get the word out that the farmers market will be here on Saturday. 7 to 11, right? Carol, right? Time's right?
7 to 12.
7 to 12, thank
Yes.
you. And we'll talk about this one tonight as well. Again, a reminder, celebrate with us on the square on April the 2nd. That'll be this Sunday, 2:30, to honor our state champions for the 2 years in a row. We're really proud of our men's basketball team from Jacksonville High School. So let's turn out and show a lot of appreciation to these guys. Also remind you that Friday, April 7th is Good Friday, so city offices will be closed that day. And then on April 8th, on the following day, JSU will be having their family fun day. And so they have a lot of activities going on. You can see all the things listed there, pickleball tournament, egg hunt, and more, a lot of different things. And you want to add anything, you probably know more about that.
I know we had talked about it, I mean, that you had that slide in there, because we have those slides here in front of us now, so I can see that. So no, sir, I think you've got everything covered. If you want, do want to register for pickleball, and because that does have a associated cost with it. And even though the egg hunt is free, there is a registration so that there'll be enough eggs for all the kids to hunt. So if you have anybody wanting to hunt eggs, make sure you just do register for that.
Okay, thank you very much. The last thing is Take Pride in Jacksonville Bay, Saturday, April 15th. We've been talking about this for a while, and it's coming up pretty soon, so we're still looking for volunteers to come out and help us clean up the city. So put that on your calendar, make plans to come out, help make things look better around our city. And if you hadn't driven down Church Avenue lately, some decking on the new building out there is beginning to look like a building now, so go by and take a look, really shaping up. So hopefully we get some more dry weather so they can work, but pretty soon they're gonna be able to work when it's raining, hopefully, so they start making some real progress. They say they're pretty much on time. It might be like a week behind, but not much. They'll catch up pretty quick, so that is moving along. And starting date for the groundbreaking on the Waterworks Gas and Sewer Board office will be coming up, well, at least I can remember that, April the 21st, I believe, is the date. But anyway, soon, next couple, 3 weeks, you see things start happening down there. The holdup down there right now is the guy that's doing grading groundwork is tied up. He's got behind with all the rain and everything, and he's trying to catch up. He says, I think he said he'd probably be there by April 21st, was the date. Be watching for that too. Thank you very much, that's all I have.
Thanks, sir. Any other business that comes before the council?
this Saturday is a preview day event at JSU. I know that that involves a lot of persons across the university campus, but also the city. And so with farmers market going on this side of town, all those who are traveling will be coming by and seeing those signs, knowing that that's here. I believe your event will begin before it begins at 0900 that morning, but you should expect to see quite a bit of traffic in and around the university on Saturday. And then all of those attendees are invited to attend which will now be a really great matchup between Jackson State University and Kennesaw State University, a baseball game, both teams winning over the weekend. And so baseball this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but those preview day attendees would be attending the Saturday night game.
Thanks, sir.